he was on with our mutual friend Dan Wooten talking about Harry's
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Autobiography, which is slated for release, I guess now this November. And according to Dan and others, the royal family does not want to see the publication of this book. They fear and believe that it's going to be very negative. Fact. About the royal family. And now, given the fact that the Queen just died, the timing is far from ideal. So Bowers goes on with Dan during GB News' royal coverage. And here's what happened.
In the end, it's down
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
to whether Harry and Meghan are prepared to apologise to Kate and William. My suspicion is, I'm convinced they won't apologise. Even worse, I'm told tonight that Harry is insisting that his book is published in November.
Are you serious?
Kidding. Absolutely, it's absolutely astonishing. He's insisting. Apparently the publishers are not too certain, but he says that if they don't publish, you will breach a contract. That's what I'm told. And it's extraordinary, because I think that's pretty... On the other hand, it fits the bill, because...
Okay.
Harry and Meghan's finances depend entirely on the book and on Netflix. And also, I think they're convinced they're in the right. And they want to get their own back. And I think that part of the problem...
Okay.
Getting them to come out on that walk yesterday was very much because they can't decide whether they should appear or not. After all, they didn't plan to be here for a funeral. They thought they were coming for just a visit to promote themselves. They've been caught up in it.
Are you serious?
What do you make of that, Nigel? If he comes out with this book.
Tom Bower is the biographer of our times, written the most incredible books about members of the royal family, about big business figures, political figures, Boris Johnson, Richard Branson, you name it. I'm very pleased that it wasn't him, but somebody else that wrote a big biography about me, because Tom Bower is really good at putting his finger on those personality flaws. And by the way, we all have them, of course. We all have them. So would Harry go ahead with this book? Well, think about this. When the Oprah Winfrey interview happened, right, Harry and Meghan knew that
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
his grandfather was at death's door. They knew that Philip was not going to make his 100th birthday, and that was only 10 weeks away, and they still went ahead with the interview. This trip to the UK, they came here this time. You know, Meghan gave a speech up in Manchester. They went to Dusseldorf for an event. Do you know, they weren't even going to go and visit the Queen on this trip. And I thought Charles's words in the
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
King's speech were very interesting. He talked about Kate, or Catherine, as we're now branding her, and William as the new Prince and Princess of Wales. But when he referred to Harry and Meghan, he didn't call them,
Wait for it,
the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. No. He talked about my love for Harry, Meghan, and their family, who are now building their new life overseas. This is what King Charles III said. And I read into that.
Here it comes.
You're living on the west coast of America. We want nothing to do with you. Please stay there.
Interesting. Well, I did think it was interesting that Meghan comes over. She goes out there to sort of shake the hands of people. And let's be honest about it. Meghan and Harry made the Queen's last 2 years much more difficult than they needed to be. I mean, there's something galling about seeing them glad-handing with the mourners when name me somebody else who caused more agita to the poor Queen in her last 2 years of life than those two. Right? I mean, it's just...
It was so disrespectful. It was so wrong in every way. But I'll tell you what's interesting. The Queen's body is going to arrive. Queen's coffin will arrive at Buckingham Palace in about 2.5 hours' time. Okay. And there will be a military detachment, of course. There will be the King.
What?
The Queen Consort. There will be the Prince and Princess of Wales. But the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be there. And what this tells you, through the words that King Charles used, through the very fact they will not be there, to meet the Queen's body as
You serious?
it arrives in Buckingham Palace. And goodness me, what a somber emotional moment that's going to be in 2.5 hours. But the fact they're not there tells you everything. The firm, as the royal family have known, have effectively excommunicated
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
them because they know Harry will go ahead with this book, do it to make money, and do his best, not just to damage the monarchy and his own father and brother, but he'll do it because he wants to damn the United Kingdom, the British around the world. I've never seen such disloyalty in all of my life. Quite what Meghan's done to him, how it's come to this, I simply don't know.
She was glad-handing with the mourners the other day, and it made news that a few of them refused to shake her hand. You can see it in the video. A couple of women just looked down or didn't extend the hand. And now you've got Meghan's followers on Twitter.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
And we're showing the video for the people who watch us on YouTube. The woman putting on her sunglasses avoids Meghan. Then there's a woman in a dark blue shirt with gray hair who clearly does not want to shake her hand. And now you've got all these people on Twitter accusing these women,
Wait for it.
of racism. That they're racists because they...
Yeah. Do you know what? Aren't we getting slightly bored with all this?
Yes.
I mean, the use of this word. I mean, we should stop. Do you know what? We should stop even worrying about it. It's become utterly meaningless. It's a substitute for any form of engagement or intelligent debate. And I think we've got to just stop worrying about all these attacks. They mean nothing.
Fact. What do you make of the Oprah thing? Because I will say Oprah weighed in on Meghan and Harry today. I mean, she was in on ground zero of the racism accusation Meghan and Harry launched against the royal family. And now Oprah's calling for
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
sort of a healing moment. We have the soundbite in an interview she gave to Extra. It's soundbite 1.
We lost another trailblazer this week, the Queen. Of course, you sat down with Meghan and Harry. We're seeing the 4 of them together now in London. Is there a hope out there that in some way her passing would be a way to unify the family, maybe heal some wounds?
Well, this is what I think. I think in all families, my father passed recently this summer. And when all families come together
Wait for it.
for a common ceremony, the ritual of, burying your dead, there's an opportunity for peacemaking.
Yeah.
And hopefully there will be that.
Yeah. Well, that is true, of course. I mean,
Yes,
there's
right.
barely a family on the planet where someone's not speaking to someone. I mean, that's just the way families. Well, it's true, isn't
true.
it?
Very true.
And then we all come together.
What?
It's the uncle's funeral or whatever it is, and we all come together, and it is an opportunity for rapprochement to be made. And there was a minor rapprochement when William reached out, and they went out, as you say, in Windsor, and looked
That doesn't make sense.
at the flowers and met some of the mourners there. But it has no long-term future if he's going to go ahead with this book. So, Oprah, sorry, I'm not with you at all. And can I just say also, she must be the worst interviewer on the planet.
Stop it.
The
That's
idea
the
that
thing.
Oprah Winfrey is this big genius. Well, so what happened with that interview was, of course, the first half of it was with Meghan. Halfway through, Harry gets dragged in, directly contradicts some of the things that Meghan has said in the first half, and Winfrey didn't even pick up on it. So I'm not particularly impressed with her ability to do interviews and to find out the truth.
Well, joining me now is the organiser of Black Lives Matter protests, Iman Ayton, former head of Royal Protection, Di Davis, and Talk TV presenter Sharon Osbourne over in Los Angeles. Sharon, great to have you on the programme. I don't know about you, I got about halfway through the first instalment of this wine-a-thon last Thursday and felt genuinely nauseous. I mean, I could feel vomit rising inside me, but
What?
also a sense of tedium. Like, we'd heard all this before with Oprah. Nothing really seemed that new. It was just a new gloss put on all this stuff. But the main purpose of it just seemed to be to attack the royal family, to attack the institution of the monarchy, to attack Britain as a racist country. What do you make of all this?
Good question.
It was all very distasteful, Piers. I was totally bored by the whining. And, you know, the curtsy, the thing she said about medieval times, her lunch with the Queen was like medieval times, which, as you know, is a Disney-type entertainment place for kids.
Yeah, right.
And it's just so horribly disrespectful and just a whine fest. I mean, is the book going to be the same thing? Whining? Is there going to be no positive points? And that whole thing of him filming himself on the Freedom Flight, they must have had that deal with Netflix done months before they ever left. So the whole thing was a setup. Why, unless you had a deal, why would you have done that filming of yourself on the plane and all of that?
And also, what kind
doing
of freedom?
A video diary, what?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, and what kind of freedom is it if all you're doing is living in your California mansion with unbelievable privilege and wealth, and you're signing all these deals with companies who want their pound of flesh, and that pound of flesh is exclusively trashing your family?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, this is all they do. From the Oprah interview onwards,
But
all
how
they've
long
done is trash their families.
Onwards is trash. But there's nothing about themselves, you know, and this is a great time for them to keep talking about their charity. But no.
Boy.
It's about them being these poor little children who are so much in love and how abused they've been. Their race, the way they act, everything has been, you know, abused by the public, by the press, by the royal family. Well, do you know what? You've got a great life. You've got a beautiful family. You're so much in love. Move on. Get a life. Move on. And they just can't seem to, because their living is by telling their truth on the royal family. That's how they make their living.
Appointment is immeasurable.
Yeah.
Their truth, as they say.
Yeah, no, I agree. Di Davis, on the question of their security specifically, because you were obviously responsible for a lot of royal security for many years, Harry claims that they were sort of had their security all taken away. Is that even remotely likely to have been true?
Good question.
Well, no, the answer is absolutely not. The protection team followed them to Canada. It was when they moved from Canada to the United States, somebody far higher than I in my present role or my old role decided, along with a committee that decides this called RABAC, they decided that it was no longer sustainable for British police officers to continue.
Okay.
And I totally and utterly agreed. And can I say, the last time you and I spoke, we were talking about the lies that his Uncle Andrew put across. And here we are again, as an investigator, as you rightly have said, and many others. There are so much inconsistencies in this. There are so many half-truths. And my concern is, as I said, having had some information from Texas, as to the number of individuals there who have believed this hook, line and sinker.
Fact. Yeah.
And if you know your history of attacks on the royal family as I do, then you would start to realise this is potentially very serious indeed, not only for the royal family, but for a fixated person on either side to get in touch and cause, as it did with President Reagan, as it did with Her Majesty a Queen last Christmas, a man with a crossbow, etc., etc.
What is he doing?
Every year, over 1,000 referrals are made to the Fixated Threat Assessment Centre. Most of them are harmless, but amongst them there is a hardcore who could pose serious risk. And that's what I've been concerned about as a consequence of this nonsense that's been spewed out by these two and some of their supporters.
Yeah, I completely agree. OK, look, Imane, we've had some animated debate about this, and I completely respect a lot of the stuff that you've been saying.
Okay.
Vice versa.
My issue with this is I'm not sure what the supposed end game is or how much more of this we're supposed to stomach. I mean, this is another 3 hours of trashing coming on Thursday, then the book, then a series of interviews around the book. This is just a never-ending stream of attacks on their own family.
I appreciate that's how you feel, but ultimately what they're really doing is highlighting the disgusting elephant in the room that the majority of this nation are more than happy to ignore, and that's what's happening right now.
Is y'all right upstairs?
And they're trying to do it in a way that allows them to look after their family, basically. So if it means making money whilst they do it, then so
What is that elephant in the room?
Good question.
Racism. Racism in terms of racial prejudice within an institution, and racism in terms of this country being racist.
But I said to you the other day, when things got a bit heated at this desk, that I felt that if you're going to make incredibly serious charges of racism in an institution like the British royal family and the monarchy, you've got to provide some evidence. Fact. They've now had a year and a half or more since the Oprah Winfrey interview in which they made all these incendiary claims. They've not produced any evidence of any racism.
OK, so what I'm hoping is that these next set of documentaries, they will actually provide us with some names so we can kind of stop discussing
What if it doesn't?
And going. If it doesn't, well, what I'll do is I'll provide you with my evidence. Is that all right? If you give me a minute, I'll give you some evidence as to why that specific institution is racist, which I can do.
Shut up, bro.
So, in terms of the evidence that you are likely to find, it is going to be in the form of covert racism. And I know you don't like that word, but it is a fact. So, examples include, in terms of the institution, the distribution of the Order of St. Michael, which is a badge which ultimately depicts a white man with wings trampling a black man.
Here we go again.
We can also delve into the fact that that institution hung up pictures of a little black slave boy on the walls within the institution, and everyone was so blinded by their racial prejudice that no one saw fit to take it down when the black president popped round for tea. Or we can delve into the fact that the Queen Elizabeth, or rather the late Queen, made sure that she did not have to adhere to the equalities laws and legislation, which is arguably what a true racist would do, and we cannot take away the fact,
You're
negate the fact.
You're calling the late Queen a true racist?
No, I'm saying it's arguably what a true racist would do. Make sure.
Racist. She's the head of the Commonwealth. She couldn't have been a less racist person if she had tried. Ask anyone in any of the Commonwealth countries about the Queen. None of them ever felt the Queen was a racist.